Hi, this is Tutor Nick P, and this is noun phrase 147. The noun phrase today is moot point, or we often say something is a moot point. Okay, let's take a look at the note here. If someone says something is a moot point in American English, it means this matter is no longer of significance or importance. So it doesn't matter because the situation has changed. Sometimes it's become a moot point. Like maybe it may have been a point earlier, but because the situation has changed, it's not of significance. This aspect is not of significance now. Or this particular issue is not that important to the whole situation. Like maybe you're arguing about this small point, but that's not that important to the whole situation. So we say that this is kind of a moot point. Why are you wasting all your time arguing about this little thing when this is the real most important part of this problem? All right. So let's look at the next one. Let's continue here. If someone says that something is a moot point, is moot point, question, or topic, it means there is strong disagreement about something. All right, this use is probably more common in British English. So this isn't one where, we may use moot point one way more often in American English and in another way in British English. So let's continue. The origin of moot comes from an Old English, I guess it was pronounced more like moot too, but spelled differently, only with one O, which meant a meeting or court. Around the 16th century, the word moot was used to teach and train law students. They would create hypothetical cases, so not real cases, fake cases, to argue over. And this is where the terms moot court and moot point comes from. So it wasn't really real, but it was a good way to practice. So they had the law students, arguing about this, practicing about this. But maybe you can see where in the end it means that it really doesn't matter because it's not real. It's not a real case, even though it was a good way for them to learn and a good way for them to practice. So moot was then often used to mean something was debatable, okay, because they use it for arguing, or open to question, the two sides to the argument. In the 19th century, it evolved into another meaning of having no effect or irrelevant. Again, it may have done this simply because, these cases that they argued were not real. So even if you won, well, you won a case that's not real. You won a fake case that's not that significant. The only significance is that, it was good practice for them to learn how to do it in the real world. All right. And we have several examples here. Example number one. In my opinion, it is a moot point whether Shakespeare really wrote all his plays or not. Many of them are still masterpieces. Yeah, I remember this a few years ago. There's a controversy of whether he wrote it or he was like a front man for somebody else, maybe somebody in royalty that really wrote it. I don't know. But I do know I read a lot of Shakespeare and a lot of them were really good. So whether it's truly Shakespeare or somebody else, the plays themselves are still quite good. So from that point of view, you might say it's a moot point. Well, whether he wrote it or another person wrote it, it's still a great play and still has a lot of importance in the play. All right, number two, it is a moot point whether he said the quote or it was from someone else. It is still very meaningful. Yeah, this is another thing, especially online, that sometimes there's a lot of quotes that people say that other people point out that maybe it's in questions or challenge whether that person actually said that quote or not. And sometimes it's important, like who said the quote, but sometimes the quote itself is more important. No matter who said it, there's deep meaning in it. That's why people repeat the quote, is because of the importance and the deep meaning in it. And sometimes, you could lose that deep meaning if you're arguing too much about whether he said it or another person said it. So in this sense, somebody may say that it's a moot point. It's the quote itself that's what's important. All right, number 3 here. It is a moot point. Whose side of the story is correct or not if they refuse to do anything to resolve the issue. So, whether you want to point fingers and say it's their fault or their fault, but neither side is doing anything, it doesn't really matter because then neither one is coming together. So you want to say it's them or it's them, doesn't matter. Either way, you're not solving the issue. You're not solving the problem. So it's kind of a moot point. All right, and the last one here, this is probably a little bit more the British meaning. Whether Barry Bonds deserves to have the title of the all-time home run leader since he is suspected of taking drug enhancers is a moot point. So it could be more of a controversial, or that's one where there's strong emotions. He deserves this title, he doesn't deserve that title. Some people might think that because he's strongly suspected of taking the drug enhancers, they think maybe he doesn't deserve it because it's, in a sense, some people might think it's kind of cheating. Okay, anyway, I hope you got it. I hope it was clear. I hope it was informative. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.